Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the practice log. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Sorry, I didn't mean to frighten you. Sorry if there are any children watching right now. Yeah, this is a practice log. That entails the usual stuff. I'm gonna talk to you for a little bit, and in talking to you, that will justify my existence here on YouTube, and everything will make sense. What? Sorry, I just woke up. It is so early. It's 3:45 in the afternoon. No, I'm just kidding. It's 9:09. Is that early enough for you? You freaking people with actual jobs? What, have you been in the office for 9 minutes now? Good for you for contributing to society in a meaningful and measurable way. It's very honorable. I have some stuff I want to talk about. This is gonna be a little bit of a weird one. I feel like I don't get personal with you guys as much anymore. Maybe it's the angle change. If you guys remember, if you're OG viewers, I used to have chair sections where I was in a chair, like over there somewhere. And I don't know, things just seem a little more professional now, but I'm going to sort of let you in a little bit. And in that, I'm also going to answer a common question because it is related, and I'll go ahead and state the question here. If you have multiple interests, whatever they are, it's classical guitar, obviously that's going to be the thing that you're most interested in. Is it okay, and how do you split your time between that and other genres or even other things that you want to do that's outside of guitar? And I'm saying that because pretty much since starting this channel, I have just been focusing on classical guitar, because I haven't just focused on classical guitar my whole life. I feel like I read a lot of comments that say stuff like, you've practiced your Bach for 20 years and all you can do is play Bach, and when I'm like reviewing Guthrie or Santana or whoever, and they're like, they can improvise and actually express themselves, like how does that make you feel? And it's like, well, first off, it hasn't been 20 years. That'd actually be kind of sad if I had been, because I'm good, but I'm not like crazy good. It's only been about 7 years. At some point it'll be 8. I guess it's going on 8 years now, because I started when I was 19. But before then, I started playing guitar actually when I was 11, and I did not play any fingerstyle, really. I only played with a pick, which is why when I do play with a pick for you, I look somewhat comfortable on it. This episode is sponsored by G minor. G minor and its girlfriend, B flat major. Am I right? It's a good pair of those two. Hey, if G minor is the boyfriend, that F sharp is like getting drunk in the garage, if you know what I'm saying. It's like, you always gotta make it about yourself, G minor. But yeah, I've had many interests throughout my life, and classical is in my adult life, because I mean I was an adult when I was 19, and I'm still an adult now. Classical is the foundation of my playing. I primarily play with my fingers. I know quite a bit of classical rep. It's what I'm pursuing like schooling in. It's what I have at least one degree in, and I'm getting another degree in it soon. Classical is where I develop my nuanced touch on the guitar, right? I've been going through this sort of, I don't know. I've been studying with Brandon. I've been looking a graduate degree down the barrel. And I understand that for me to get the best bang for my buck in this grad degree, I probably need to just focus on classical guitar and sort of make that the primary thing that I study without any exception for the most part. And now you might be thinking, like, haven't you been doing that for the past like 2 or so years, like on this YouTube channel? Yes, but I didn't have to do it. Not that I have to do this grad degree either. Like, I'm the one deciding that I want to do it. But I am throwing myself into like a regimented schedule now where I'm expected to put a certain amount of time, like expecting of myself to put a certain amount of time into it, because I don't want to just coast through something like this. So in that, it's a little bit scary because I read your comments and I agree with a lot of you. You just play other people's music, and like, would you ever actually make music? Which, like, we can go into the nuances of like making music by like playing composed music from other people. I think it still is, and you could just do that and be satisfied with that. But I personally have more music in my heart to share that's not just classical. And I found myself, especially before classical, kind of playing like folky, kind of emo, singer-songwriter stuff, believe it or not. Because I don't know, there's just something so pure about the acoustic guitar and voice combo, and I'm actually talking about steel string specifically. It's just a nice combo for just sort of expressing yourself. And it's been a while since I've written music like that, and I was actually going through some of it the other day. I was like, man, like, I wrote a lot of this stuff when I was like 21, 22, and it's like pretty angsty and like kind of emo and like folky acoustic. I'm not going to share any of it right now. And I just got this overwhelming feeling of like, I am 27 right now. I got 3 more years in my 20s. I ain't getting any younger. And the facts are, I like this kind of music. I enjoy playing it and expressing myself in it. I'm 27 and I've been studying guitar my entire life, and I don't have a single album of this kind of music to my name. I only have like random songs that aren't even a part of anything, just floating around in my email. Nobody can even listen to it. And you know, I was sharing it with my girlfriend because my girlfriend, who is real by the way, loves like that kind of stuff, like demo-y, kind of like emo music. And I sent some of it to her, and she was like, oh my god, like I wish I could add this to my Spotify playlist. Like I would love it. Which is very nice of her. That's very generous. She doesn't have to say that. But I think I can tell you what has happened. I had like a lot of confidence before going into music school, and then a lot of that was crushed in music school. And now since then I've been kind of building myself back up. A newer, better version of me, a much more informed and like better player and musician in general. But I went through like a crushing phase of like a lot of the creativity was just kind of stomped out of me. I feel like now, especially experimenting with it, I'm able to go back to that original creative state with also a more informed approach. And in it being informed, I'm not talking about writing like folky music with like technical like fusion-y breakdowns in it. I'm talking about writing this like kind of music that I'm talking about with a kind of nuance where I don't need to add in extra notes, and I can kind of make it as poignant as possible, and in that kind of making it more simple rather than like just playing like scales randomly like how I used to do. So I don't know, I've been experimenting with that kind of stuff, and I like the sound of it, and I think that I'm now developing the urge to write an album like that before I start my master's degree. And I already have a few songs done that I've written like several years ago, and I've already started writing new ones. I'm not going to share that like on the main Sorehands channel. If you really care, it'll be accessible through some other avenue, like maybe the Sorehands second channel, if it even gets done, because I actually want to address that too. This is where the main comment question of the day is coming in. How do you divide your time into multiple genres like this? Because I know a lot of you also play jazz and classical. You also do whatever else. You might do your stupid singer-songwriter BS. Whatever it is you do. I'm sure that you play multiple genres of music because you're not just like classical guitarists for life. At least most of you aren't. So how do you divide your time up? I will tell you my plan going forward, because for someone like me, where classical guitar, it in a way is kind of their like career. It's what I advertise as a teacher. I have a YouTube channel about it, at least. I'm pursuing degrees in it. There is no abandoning classical guitar. Classical guitar is my foundation for everything that I do. It's the lens that I view the world in. There is no abandoning that. I will always build that up and keep it going and going. And in that, I will go through phases where I only study classical, and then I'll go through phases where I study classical and other stuff. Or, I mean, study is used very loosely here. I have, like, elitism towards myself. I wonder what that's all about. Throughout these phases where I only studied classical, I wasn't really regimented, because I knew every time I was playing guitar, it was going to be classical. Like, the only regimenting I did was just between what pieces I actually worked on. I can't do that going forward, because I have a lot on my plate if I want to get everything that I want done. And that's not even the only project. My brain has been, like, buzzing with, like, projects, which is a really good thing if you're able to actually execute them, but it's a horrible thing if you start a bunch of projects and never finish them and just never have anything to show for them. That is what we're trying to avoid here. You don't want to do that. When you're going to spread yourself so thin like this, timers are a must, especially if you have a lot of music like me. We're talking about 30 minutes a piece. So I'm going to work on the Schubert today, Lob der Tränen. Did I say that right? 30 minutes a day. How is 30 minutes a day enough for one piece? It is. 30 minutes a day, actually 7 times a week. You're going to get so much better at your music if you actually do that. And I'm not going to do approximately 30 minutes a day. I'm literally setting timers on my phone, and I'm practicing them, focusing on a few goals for that 30 minutes. And then once the timer clicks, I'm moving on. I have some work to do with the Soar Mozart variations, and I have some work to do with the fugue. That's an hour and a half of practice right there. Okay, there we go. I need to get really focused with what I'm trying to achieve in my classical. I've done a lot of work on scales. It's cool to see people shred scales at like 140 BPM 16th notes, IM, rest stroke or whatever. Does that ever really come up in my music? No, never does it come up. Anytime there's a fast run, it's always some slurred scale like that. Okay, so should I be practicing scales for 2 hours a day if I'm going to spread myself so thin? No, because what happens is you practice scales for 2 freaking hours and then you're burnt out and then you don't even practice rep. I don't know. There's diminishing returns on scales. I've practiced a lot of scales. They are kind of as good as they need to be for the music that I'm working on. So the stuff that I really need to focus on, which is the stuff that I'm working on in my lessons, is interpreting the music and shaping the melody in a beautiful and intelligent way, and having it all flow as if it's more than a guitar. That's the stuff that I really need to be focusing on, because that's the weakness right now. The new project, right? The new exciting project, the thing. This is gonna be like your favorite thing now. I'm gonna put hours and hours into this, right? No, that is a stupid waste of time, and it's tempting, because it's really fun to do that, especially when you have a lot of motivation. Starting your album, you're planning it out, and you're just banging it out for hours. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen with that. You are going to burn out so fast, because you're going to realize that this album is not coming as easily as you thought it would, and you're going to really notice that around the 2.5 hour mark. So the plan with that, 30 minutes to an hour a day max, no more than an hour. And my goals during those hours is to get comfy with everything that I've written so far, produce and get comfy one new guitar riff for like progression or whatever, and to write down a couple stanzas of lyrics, just some like dope freaking lyrics. It doesn't have to be for like a song in particular, but I find it useful to just write a bunch of lyrics and like cliches and stuff, and then you just kind of have them. It's almost like you're writing stuff down and you kind of figure out what you're trying to say after you've written it, and then you add to it then, because sometimes you just have stuff to say and you don't even know what it's about yet, and you kind of interpret it later. I like that style. I'm talking about 30 minutes to an hour a day on this thing over the course of the next few months, and we'll see where it's at then. Like, I want to get it done before I start my grad degree, just to get it out of the way so I can dive into my studies fully, knowing that I've done all that I can do. Because again, I'm not getting any younger. 27 years of my life has passed me by already. I need to get something written down that's actually like a finished product and not just a single song or like something. I don't know. I get that urge every few years. I find that that's a thing. Every few years I want to write a thing, and now it's finally happening. So in conclusion, timers, that's the most important thing, and don't go all in on one thing unless it's classical or jazz. Whatever your foundation is, of course have periods where you go all in on that. And you know, if you're picking something to go all in on, I think classical is a really solid option, because there's endless literature, endless repertoire, with endless nuance to learn. You're not going to overlearn classical guitar, you know? If we're talking about like folky emo music, I think if I went all in on that and made that my foundation, that would probably not serve my musicianship, I would assume. I don't know. Maybe it would. That's just not who I am. I need something with a little more substance. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. I'm like already an elitist. I hate myself. That's really what you should conclude from this. I hate myself, and school ruined me. Set timers, be consistent, be regimented. Last thing, the classical comes first. We do not work on our stupid album until the hour and a half of classical is done. Then you can work on your album, and then you can work on more classical if you so feel inspired. So that being said, it's 9:34 right now. It's raining where I am. Don't use that info to triangulate me. It won't work. You don't know when this was filmed. I need to answer this, the final question. Folky acoustic emo music? Are you gonna do that on your $7,000 classical guitar? That would be a little inappropriate, wouldn't it? This might come as a shock to a lot of you. Let me introduce you, which I know a lot of you have seen this guitar. This is the Buzzy Jams guitar. It's a little bit lower because I can't tune the 6th string, so I always tune the other strings just around whatever it happens to be at. So this was my first acoustic instrument that I got when I was like 14 or so. I mean, this is a... you guys have commented on it. It's a crappy guitar, and it's been on top of my fridge since I moved here, and it smells like mildew. It's horrible, and it has an open hole in it because it used to have electronics that I ripped out. I don't like playing this guitar. I don't know how to fix the mildew problem, so I'm probably just going to put it in a case forever and just permanently retire it. And it's chalk it up to being the guitar I learned on in my childhood and never playing it again. And today, after I practice, I am going to walk over to the pawn shops, and I'm going to find a steel string guitar that speaks to me. That's what I'm gonna do. I know that I'm betraying all of you in a way, and I promise you in the next reaction video none of this will be mentioned. I don't want to hear about it in the comment section either. I'll be back to my normal classical elitism. But I don't know, it's just a feeling that I have. I just want to do that. It's something that's near and dear to my heart, and it feels wrong not talking about it, especially with how much I've slandered steel string. And these aren't like new feelings, by the way. Like, these are jokes I've made about steel strings forever, because a lot of them do sound crappy, especially how some people play them. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Sore Hands is going to be at the pawn shops playing steel string guitars, finding one that speaks to his heart and not just trying to find the most expensive one, my usual strategy when I buy guitars. I'm just kidding. This was not the most expensive guitar they had. This was the best one, though. Yeah, I played some other guitars that are like 12 and 13 grand was their price tag, and they like didn't even come close to this thing. Yeah, no, I don't know how much I'm gonna spend on it. I'm gonna try to keep it under like 500. Because I think that's like, you know, this doesn't need to be like a fancy steel string. Like, it just needs to be one that like plays alright and feels alright. It doesn't even have to play that well, honestly. I want one that's kind of mellow, like not a whole lot of highs. I like them a little bassy, which is kind of like a bad thing, I think. But I don't know, I feel like it fits what I'm trying to do well. I need to practice my classical music like a good boy, and then I can indulge in my hedonistic impulses after that. But first, Schubert, Sohr, Bach. I'll see you on the other side. Alright, I think I'm about done for this session. I got about an hour and a half in. That was an honest hour and a half. I didn't just move the clock forward. I worked on the Schubert, the fugue, which I've been kind of neglecting the fugue a little bit, so I'm glad I got some time with that. For the Schubert, it's a little more straightforward. We're just getting these notes down, and I'm just kind of interpreting it how I will, and I'm going to present this to Brandon in a couple of days or so. Here's what I have of that. I'm going to solidify that over the next few days and maybe move on to the next section as well. A little bit of knuckle cracking for you. Cracking your knuckles is not bad for you guys. Look at the research. I have done things with my hands that are way worse than knuckle cracking, I'll tell you what. Yeah, but that's where that's at, so pretty cool stuff. So, I guess what's on the agenda for me now is that I'm going to go to a couple of pawn shops and just maybe try out some steel string guitars, believe it or not. Whoa, this is a weird day, huh? Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to anybody I'm disappointing with that, but you know, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. And you should also recognize that you can be a complicated person. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. So, you know, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. Of course, if you want some classical guitar lessons, I'll teach you some of that crap. That's just the thing that I say whenever I review stuff that's not classical. But I'll teach you classical guitar, as I said. Email in the description, there's a waiting list, state your case, boom. Head on down over to Rutin's Delight, Patreon, Outschool link, learn how to teach guitar, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. I'll see you in the next one.